Did you take some time off and were you a sculptor for a while or is that someone else?
No, I did that. I didn't take time. Yeah, I did take time off. That's true.
That's when
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
came, spoke at Voices once and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
this is what I'm doing for me now." And
yeah,
that
yeah.
was pretty
I
cool.
always was writing books. So when you say time off, I wasn't seeing clients at the time.
Okay, you
I
took
was,
time off from
but I
seeing
was still
clients.
writing books. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's
yeah. I was sculpting and I was painting and I was going to women's groups as a participant, not as a leader, just
fun.
kind of connecting with people. So yeah, I moved up into a remote area, which was really healing, very beautiful area. So
Oh.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I heard you speak when that was
yeah,
all going on for you. Yeah, and that
yeah.
maybe kind of a role model because I took 13 years off from social work
Oh,
and
oh, okay.
yeah, that I filmmaker and author and now I'm back. Now I'm doing a small private practice.
I haven't even actually had memories. I've just been able to put things together. I'll give you an example. After I was abused at 9, and in that same year, um, I was playing with a little girl next door, and we had these what were called stationary tubs in the back attached to the house where people would rinse things off, I guess, or maybe do laundry or something. Anyway, I put her in one of those tubs and I was pretending like I was taking pictures of her like she was nude. All you could see was her head and her neck and the way it would have didn't even really have a camera, but the way it would have looked was that she might be naked in the tub. And I thought back on that later and I thought, why in the world did I do that? Where would I get that idea? So things like that kept coming back, throughout my childhood and even into adulthood, where I put things together like a kid wouldn't have ever had that idea on their own. So I figured out that he must have drugged. I remember the first time. I remember a couple of other times what he did to me physically or had me do to him. And then I have a blank for the rest of the time I was with him. And I was being babysat by him for 6 months. So I only remember maybe 3 or 4 times. So I blocked out a significant amount of things. And what I'm thinking is that he must have drugged me, and or it must have been so horrible that I dissociated. But this felt more like a situation where I was drugged and had no memory. And then, but these behaviors would come through, unexplained behaviors. But I could explain them if I figured, well, he drugged me and he probably took naked pictures of me, probably put me in different positions and, took pictures of me. And I'm pretty certain that he must have done that. It feels like that's what happened. I have no other explanation for why I would act that way. And I was always acting out as after that with other kids. I'd have them take their clothes off. I was always doing weird things as a kid, which brought me a whole lot of shame, of course. Um, but that's the kind of the closest thing that I would call a recovered memory would be that I would act in certain ways that indicated to me that something more happened that I had blocked out or had been drugged and didn't have a memory of.
Did you always remember taking the photos of the other child, or
Yeah, yeah,
you always remember that, but you put the two, you were able to process the two together? Yeah.
yeah. As a kid, I didn't think anything of it. But later on, looking back, I thought, why in the world would I do that? And where would I get that idea? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So those are the kind of recovered memories I had, would be putting two and two together, like,
It's like
well,
recovered realizations, it sounds like.
yeah, yeah. I know it's hard to trust your memories if you don't have anything to attach them to trust your body when you have a very strong physical reaction to something, to trust that's your body's telling you something. Um, I've had so many clients who had a sense that something happened to them, but they didn't have any memory of it. They didn't trust the sense that something happened, or they actually really suspected someone, like a father, but they couldn't let themselves believe it. Their father was so loving and kind, they couldn't believe it. Um, so I really encourage people to really trust their body. If every time you start to go next to your father, even though you may love him, you start to withdraw and you kind of cringe and you're overly protective of yourself and you don't want to get too close to that person, trust that. Write about it. You don't have to decide right away. Write about it. Try to get more in touch with your feelings as you write about it. I've encouraged people to write a truth book, to get a journal that's just for what they know is true. And they call it the truth book, and write down every time you know the truth about something from your childhood. Even if it seems outrageous, even though it seems like it couldn't possibly happen, you don't have any evidence. If you believe it's true, write it down as the truth. And after a while, you've compiled a book of things that you know for sure, and read that, and that will help you a lot in putting it all together. Just like I did with the camera thing. And, I was able to put things together from my memories and and just my intuition and just logic. It's just not logical that a kid who doesn't even own a camera would pretend to have a camera and be reenacting what happened to them. It's not logical, but it happened, and I know what happened. So the more you write down what you know for sure, and then you have that to read back on, that will really help you decide whether something is true or not. So I really encourage people to do things like that.
I'm interested in Divorcing a Parent book because I recommend that so much to people. And I really haven't, I know there's newer books, but I don't like any of them as well. So I still recommend yours. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was kind of ahead of my time. I
Go
couldn't hardly,
ahead.
I couldn't sell that book. I just had my
Really?
first book, The Right to Innocence, come out, and the publisher I had declined to buy that one. But I did find a publisher, a smaller
Yeah.
publisher. Um, but it was a hard sell. People didn't think of that. That was really a no-no at that time, to
Yeah.
think about divorcing a parent. It's really amazing what's happening now. It
I
even
know.
surprised me recently about all the books on, you know, it's for the parent who's experiencing no contact. It's for the child who's deciding. But there are no books called Divorcing a Parent, and there are no books on considering how to do it to the detail that I offered. So you're right.